Hello chaps and chappets, and welcome to a Board Games Everybody Should a video series where I take a board game, I show you how it plays, I give you a technical review and a personal review, and then I leave it up to you to decide whether it's a game for your shelves. In this video, I'm looking at Dark Souls, a board game that actually does reproduce the same experience as the video game that it's based on. Or one of those 80s side-scrolling games that you beat things up on. You could have done so much better, Atari. Ooh. In Dark Souls, you will be starting at one side of the screen and going to the other side of the screen. And when you get to the other side of the screen, there'll be a big monster because this box is big. You will fight it, hopefully slay it, and then do the whole thing again. Haha. This will be the game that you'll either go, this is easy, buff, 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 buff. Or you'll be no, not again.
Not again.
So let me show you how to play Dark Souls. And then what I'll do is I'll give you my personal and technical review before leaving it up to you to decide whether you should be dying to go out and get this game. Is this game worth dying for? Is this to die for? Is this game an ex-parrot? Deceased. Yes. Deceased soul. Does this game have any soul? We just cut to the... Yeah, just cut. To start off, each player will choose one crazy person to go into the dungeon. Hero to go into the dungeon. This game can be played solo, so you can just take one board and its appropriate figure with it and go and play. Once you've chosen your foolhardy hero and you've collected the miniature, you will then set up their character sheet like so. You would take 4 white cubes and place them in the base tier of their stats. As you can see, these cubes do not move even in an earthquake. They keep track of your stats. Woo. You'll place a token on the Erstis flask to say that it's full up, a luck token to say that you haven't used your luck, and your heroic action token to say that you haven't used your special heroic power. You'll also take the character's base cards, and these will be equipment that you will add to your character, armor, weapons, and anything else into your backpack. You'll then have to sort through this very large treasure deck, separating the class-specific treasures and the legendary treasures from the common treasure cards. You will then take the class treasure for each of the classes playing, in this case the assassins, and add that to the treasure deck. This second pile won't go into the treasure deck until you have defeated the first mini-boss. Somewhere in the middle of the table you're going to place this bonfire tile, which could be called Square One. This is where the adventure of the heroes starts. Yes, on Square One. Heroes can also come back here after clearing out a room to, chill out and upgrade themselves. Or heroes will have to come here if one of the parties snuffs it. Everyone will have to return to Square One. The deck of treasure cards that you made will go on the center space here. And this bonfire sparks tile will go here. Depending on the number of players, you set the sparks value at that number. So if there were 4 players, you set the sparks value at 2. If there's 1 player, you set the sparks value at 5. Also, if you're playing 1 player solo, you're going to start with 16 souls in your reserve. So whenever heroes return here or die, they can use the services provided. There is a blacksmith here. And for every soul that you spend, the blacksmith will make a new piece of equipment for you. You reveal the top card from the deck, you pass it around and see who can equip it, because certain pieces of equipment can only be equipped with certain skills. If nobody wants the item or nobody can equip that item, you just place it in a new pile, the equipment pile, and you can come back to this later on in the game. Now, as I said, skills. You may want to upgrade your skills here, and this will cost you souls as well. To upgrade from base to tier 1, it's going to cost you 2 souls. 4 souls from 1 to 2, and 8 souls from a tier 2 to tier 3. You can also spend a soul to get your lucky charm back. And the thing that you're going to do a lot is probably go and see the Firekeeper. By seeing the Firekeeper, you will rest at the bonfire and you will diminish the number of sparks by 1. This will reset all your stats, your luck, your Erstis Flask and your heroic feat. And it will also reset the rest of the board. When your sparks value arrives at 0, that means that you can no longer rest at the bonfire and you will probably die if you die. You'll then take 4 of the 6 double-sided room tiles and connect them together to form a board game board much like this. And you'll place a fog gate on the tile which is furthest away from the bonfire. This fog gate will lead into the boss room, which you'll set up after you go through the fog gate. Now you get to choose which of the 4 mini bosses you're going to fight first. You'll collect all the cards that belong to that mini boss and his life point token disc. Each of the bosses has their own character cards with lots of stats on it. The only stat that matters at the moment are the ones on the bottom here. These are the amount of encounter cards that you're going to need to draw at the beginning of the game. So for the Gargoyle, you're going to need 3 level 1 encounters, 1 level 2 encounter and no level 3 encounters. You will then draw these cards from the appropriate decks. Then you will place 1 in each of the rooms on the board. You'll always start by placing the lowest number encounter card next to the bonfire room. And then work your way away from the bonfire room so the highest level encounter card is the furthest room away. Then place next to the board the dice, the monsters cards, the cubes, and all the other tokens. And everything else can go back in the box because you won't need it. And now you're ready to die. Play. Now with your party itching for adventure, you'll choose an adjacent room to go into. Once you go into that room, you cannot leave that room unless you've either cleared out all the monsters in that room and you can then move on to another adjacent room, or if one of your party members bites the dust, then you'll all have to go back to the bonfire. Once the players have chosen a room, they will reveal the encounter card that is in there. The encounter card will state what monsters are in there, what objects are in there, and if the room is trapped in any way. You will add the appropriate monsters to the appropriate nodes. Each node can hold a maximum of 3 characters, whether they be monsters or heroes. You will add the appropriate objects to the nodes. These objects block that space so no creatures can go in there, apart from the barrel. The node with the barrel on it can be moved into, but this will cost 1 additional stamina. And once a character has moved or been pushed into that space, the barrel breaks, therefore making that space open for everybody. If the event card has these daggers indicated on the bottom, the room is trapped. You will randomly take some of the trap tokens and you'll place them on any yellow node which doesn't have a creature or an object on it, and not on a space on the line of where the heroes enter. Once the room has been set up, the heroes will enter. You can choose where your hero goes from one of the 3 nodes which are on the same wall side as the entrance that you came in through. You will then choose your start player and give them the aggro token, which means that they are going to be attacked first. So make sure that it's someone strong who can defend themselves. Each of the creatures has their own program card. You'll take the creatures that are involved in your room and you'll place them in their threat order. The threat order is the number at the top, so the most threatening first and then the least threatening second. So you activate the first unit of monsters first, and in this case they're going to move and then they're going to attack. Sometimes they might attack and then move, or they might just smash into you. So in the case of this hollow soldier, he will move 1 space to the nearest hero. Whereas in this crossbow hollow, he will move away 1 space from the player with the aggro token. In the case of a tie for the nearest hero, the creature will always go to the hero who has the aggro token. If there is no hero with an aggro token, you just choose which hero they go to. And if the creature is back against the wall, you will just have to slide them 1 space in any direction. Then there are the attacks. This hollow soldier will attack for damage in hand-to-hand combat, so he will need to be on the same node as the hero to attack. And this crossbow holo will do a magic attack which will do 3 damage, and it won't need any line of sight. The heroes will have a choice to either defend or to try and dodge. This is the value that they'll have to dodge if they are to be successful in moving away from the attack. So to get away from this very nasty, punishing, always hitting, never gonna miss attack, you're gonna need to either defend or dodge. Let's look at the knight. So if we look at the knight's equipment, you can see that his shield will give him 1 black dice to roll in defense, and also his armor will give him 1 blue dice to roll. His sword would not defend against anything. But that's physical attacks. What about magic attacks? Well, his armor will give him 1 black dice to protect him against a magical attack. So let's say that the knight gets 4 damage from this hollow soldier. He will then decide to defend with his armor and his shield. He rolled the black and the blue dice, and that would negate the damage. The damage was 4, which means normally he would have taken 4 damage, but in this case 3 has been negated. He will place 1 red cube over there in the wound section. Whereas the assassin has a good chance of dodging. Dodging will always cost 1 stamina point. He could roll 1 black dice in defense against an attack from physical or from magical, but he gets 2 dice from dodging. These are these dice. All he needs is 1 success, as indicated by the character's card. If he rolls 1 of these, it means that he's dodged the attack entirely, and then he can move 1 space adjacent. If you've railed and got some blanks like that, he would then have to take the full damage, which in this case would be 4, and he would also have to still move to an adjacent space. Some creatures will push you into an adjacent node when they move, and then they move into that node, and then they will attack everybody in that zone. Some will push you if you're attacked into an adjacent node, and some will just deal damage when they push you. So once you've activated all the monsters, it's time for the heroes to have their turn. Did I say heroes? I meant hero. The very first turn on the game ever, you get to choose which one of your heroes gets to activate first. You'll take the first player token, like so, and then that player will move and attack, or attack and move, before it goes back to the monsters. And then after all the monsters have activated, this first player token goes to the player on your left, and then they can move and attack, or attack and move, before all the monsters activate again. And then the other player gets this, and yeah, you get the picture. The first thing you do on your turn is remove 2 stamina points, which is good in a way, because if at any time your stamina and your damage meet, that means, oh, you're dead and you go back to square 1. The next thing is your character gains the aggro token, which means that they are probably going to be the target for their next monster's attack. This is also the time that you can spend to swap your equipment around and give yourself some different weapons or different armor. Now you can move and attack, or attack and move. Let me show you movement. Movement, you can move into an adjacent node for free. So I could move here, or I could move here, or I could move here, but I couldn't move into this chest. And if I moved here into this trap, I would have to reveal this trap. Luckily there's nothing there. Some traps, like this one here, would tell you to take 1 damage unless you can dodge and get a success of 1. If I wish to move another adjacent space, it would cost me 1 stamina point. But again, I could move to any of the 8 surrounding nodes, as long as they're not blocked, and as long as you can get there. So for instance, there. Again, if I wanted to move again, it would be an additional stamina, but I wouldn't be able to leave the board. I'd have to stay in this room. So let's talk about attacking. The assassin is going to attack a creature, and that creature is going to be 1 space away, and this weapon will let them attack a creature 1 space away, where his basic weapon here wouldn't have. He would have had to been in the same space because he has a distance of 0. He then has 2 different types of attack that they can do. He can do a very simple attack, which is a basic 1 stamina that it'll have to pay, it'll place it into here, or it play this very powerful attack, which is 4 stamina, but as you can see there's only 3 spaces there, which is a bit risky. And it'll give him 2 orange dice, and whatever the result is, +1, whereas a simple attack would give him 2 blue dice, +1. Once you've got your attack value, you would compare it to the monster's defense value. You have their physical defense, which is 2, and their magical defense, which is 1. So depending on the attack, you will go against that. So let's say our attack was a value of 2, this shield would absorb it and this creature would live on. But if it was 3 or more, it would take away the life points and this creature would be dead. Unless it was this creature, which has 10 life points, and then you'd have to battle away at its life points. This claymore as well, it can be upgraded with 1 upgrade, and here is an upgrade card, a shard gem, and you would just slide that underneath and that would give that weapon an additional +1 black dice whenever you attack. Don't forget that on your turn you can use your heroic feat action, you can use your lucky charm to re-roll 1 of your dice, and you can drink from your Erstis flag, removing all the damage and all the stamina cubes in your status bar. And there you are, you're going to go back and forth fighting monsters from room to room. If you clear a room and there's a treasure chest in there, you get to draw 2 cards from the treasure chest deck on the bonfire tile. You'll also get to remove all the stamina tokens and the damage tokens in your status bar. And if you also clear the room, you're also going to get 2 souls for each player playing the game. These get put into your cache, your little reserve on the bonfire tile. And again, if you die, if one of the players is knocked out or died, whatever you want to call it, all those souls that you've collected are going to go on that space where they died, and you're going to have to go all the way back there after you've reset all the encounter cards and turn them face down and reset all the traps, so you can remember which traps are good and which ones are not. And you go again and you keep going and keep going, and that's the game. What about the boss battle? What? Oh yeah, I forgot about the boss battle. Silly me. You know what happens? When you get to the furthest room, you can decide as a team to go and fight the boss. Oh, you'll take your intrepid heroes and then you'll remove all this and you'll place out the boss map tiles, and you'll place the boss, the appropriate boss, whether it be a mini boss or the full-size boss, on their appropriate space. Don't forget their character card and their life point token. Each boss and mini boss has a deck of normal attack cards and some heat up attack cards. You're going to take a number of normal cards as indicated by their character card at random. So I take 4 and that becomes my attack deck for the gargoyle. If during the combat the life points of the gargoyle drop below the heat up point, so in this case 12, one of these heat up cards again at random gets taken and added to this deck and shuffled in, and this becomes the new attack. Each boss and mini boss has a threat level, so if you're fighting a mini boss and a boss, they will act in the order of the threat level, and each has their own special power. The heroes will choose their starting position from one of the 3 nodes which are next to the door, and then you're ready to play, and you'll start with the boss or the mini boss. You'll reveal the top card of the attack deck and you'll act out the actions as printed. Most of the actions are identical to all the other creatures in the game, like move and attack, the nearest hero, push, attack all heroes in that zone, but this thing here is slightly different. Each of the bosses has 4 quadrants. These quadrants correspond with the quadrants marked on the base of the figure. And as you can see, this figure is facing this way, meaning that north on this card is north on this character's card. And when it does an attack, it attacks the 3 quadrants at the front, to the left and to the right, which would be all of these nodes right next to the creature apart from the back one. That's indicated by the color green. That's the attack zone. The color red is the weak zone of this creature. So if a hero was in the weak zone, either here, here or here, they would get an additional black dice when they do an attack. Other special actions that the bosses have are this jump action here, which means that this creature would jump immediately to the character who has the aggro token. So they would jump into their space, pushing all the characters and creatures out of that space. This character can swing round 90 degrees. As I said, with the quadrants, you're going to turn them around 90 degrees or 180 degrees, depending on the arrow. And like before in the game, one player will move and attack, or attack and move, and then it'll be the creature's turn, and he'll do a different attack and a different movement. And then on his next turn, he'll do a different attack and movement again, and a different attack and movement again. And then once this deck is empty here, you'll take the discard pile, you won't shuffle it, you just flip it back over, and then go again. So memory will play a good part of the game here, trying to remember where the monster is going to move and how they're going to move and how they're going to attack. If during the battle one of the heroes falls, you're going to have to go back to the bonfire and start again. That is, if you have any sparks left, and you'll have to walk through all those rooms to get back to this room. But in the cool chance that you actually kill the mini boss, collecting 1 soul instead of 2 for every hero involved, you'll also get to collect the treasure from that mini boss, and you can share it with the team. You'll actually reset all of the boards again, adding new encounter cards depending on the boss that you're going to fight. And you'll reset your sparks token and go again. And when you go into the boss room, you won't be just fighting the boss, you'll be fighting the mini boss that you fought before. If you manage to wipe them both out, then you have successfully beaten Dark Souls. So that's how you play Dark Souls, give or take a few tiny rules that I missed out, and hopefully this video is helping you learn the game a bit quicker and gives you a good taste of what the game is about. If you want to know what I think about this game, there's a link on the screen now which will take you to my review video, which is a separate video of the game, and you can click on that, or there'll be a link at the end of the video to go and check out. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that this video has informed you whether Dark Souls is a game for you or not. But as I said, if you want to get an in-depth review of how I feel or how I don't feel about this game, or a soulless review of the game, then you can always click on the link and watch the review. So, ciao for now, and I'll probably see you in a minute.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice. Wouldn't it be good? I got some board games.